Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of my live tea tasting. I've got an exciting blend for you guys tonight, so I'll go ahead and start the pouring right off the bat. Oh, I am so stoked about this one. This one is actually, it's another rock oolong, but it's not one that I've done from, it's not one that I've done yet, and it's also from a brand that I've never tried yet. So, without further ado, here is the pouring. I'm loving this already. Like, I have brewed this a few minutes ago, and it smells incredible. It is, hey Ma, welcome. It is super smoky. It's Naya, welcome. I see you guys popped in early. This is a super smoky blend. I smelled it, and it's just like, oh, right in your face kind of smoke. I'm loving it already. Because you guys know, like, I'm all for, like, the savory ones. This one is, it's about as close as you can get to a lapsang without being a lapsang from the scent of it. It's not quite barbecue smoke. I would say it's got a tinge of, like, cigarette smoke. But not in an offensive way. It's very, very light. But the smoke that you get from it is on point. So I'll go ahead and take my first sips. Oh, and also take a look at that color. Like, I was not expecting it to be this light due to the leaf itself, which I will show you guys in just a moment. But yeah, here we go, down the hatch. Oh, that is nice. I'm getting like a really woody kind of flavoring to it. There's a nice little. It's a lot softer than I thought would come out of it. It's really like almost a cottony kind of softness to it. I'm surprised because I mean like the smell of it was really was really strong. You know, and I was expecting it to be a little bit harder, a little bit. Can you tell something more about the tea? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm describing the tea. Unless you're talking about like the cultivation. Carmen, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'll wave right back. So the brand is, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but Mei, M-E-I. This one was harvested from Wuyi, from the Wuyi mountains of Fujian, China. This is an oolong. And it's quite different from the other oolongs that come from Taiwan. And I'll show you why right now. So, taking a look at this, you see it's, first of all, it's not rolled, which a lot of oolongs from Taiwan are. They're very dark leaves. So this has been highly oxidized. I would say up to maybe, it's not completely oxidized because you can see it still looks green under the right light. But the rest of it looks brown, so you have to really go up in there to notice the color difference under a bright light. So this looks like it's between 50 and 60% oxidized. It's not up to 80%, which some oolongs can be done, but this is quite close to the high end of it. So you'll notice how it's rolled rather than balled, so you'll get a full flavor out of this, but probably only 1 or 2 steepings. Now this is what it looks like after it's steeped. You'll see it unfurled quite a bit. Whoops, didn't get the right one. Now it's not completely open, but it is noticeable, so you'll want to you could still steep this in maybe another one time. I can't open this up with one hand, but you'll see it's not completely unfurled. Monica, welcome. It's still folded in its way. I'm trying to make sure. Teresa, welcome. I'm trying to like get it into focus. One problem about using a phone is that you can't really control the focus as well. But you'll see it's nice and open at the end, and another steeping, maybe two. I wouldn't risk a third. But you could probably do it under a different temperature. You could probably get two more steeps out of that. So, generally for a Taiwanese oolong, you can do up to like 4 or 5. It's an all-day steep. It's an all-day tea where you can just keep steeping it over and over and over again, and it'll taste. You'll get different flavors out of it every time, but that's more as the flavor is released from the leaf itself. Now this has got a really nice, well-rounded flavor to it. You're getting like a lot of the woody, kind of an oak flavor to it. It's very light though, and like I was not expecting it because usually rock oolongs are very, very earthy, very. Is this the first flush? That I do not know. This is the season to get your first flushes in. It does not say it on the label. It's hard to tell. Excuse me. It might possibly be a first flush, but like it's very difficult to tell without the label saying so. I was just okay. I was reading what you just said. I thought that was directed at me. Now, it looks like this comes from what they call the rare orchard. And it says that rare orchard is the bush of varietal of Wuyi rock oolong, where it's got a twisted dark brown leaf and a very fragrant fruity taste. I'm not getting a whole lot of fruit, although I see where it can come from, because it's not a very it's not a very traditional flavor when it comes to rock oolongs. I'm getting more woodiness, but other people can taste different things. Let's say the golden liqueur has a creamy texture and naturally roasted almond finish. That I can get. I'm getting the almond for sure. It's hidden in there within like the woodiness of it. The finish that lingers in your mouth and nose. I have no idea about the nose quite yet because I didn't do the Thomas taste. But that is a good idea. I'll do that right now. I did the Thomas taste, and it's definitely it's definitely a good thing, because as I breathed out, it has this kind of like a silky note to it, to the texture, and I can get a little bit more of the almond-ish. It's kind of like a sandy finish, not salty but sandy, if that makes sense. There's a bit of a. I'm trying to search for the fruity notes, but I'm not really getting much of it. Yeah, it's really difficult to search. I'm gonna try one more time because they're talking about it. And it's like I really want to find it in there somewhere. The most I'll say, it's close to an apple. Kind of like that. I guess yeah. I guess the fruitiness that would count because it's not citrusy or berry at all. It is sweet. I will say that much. It's and I don't put any sweetener in these teas, so naturally there is a softer tone to it. Um, there is a kind of when you breathe out, there's this kind of um, aftertaste that trails, and it's a soft burn for sure. It's taking a while to simmer and dissipate, which for something like this is a good thing because you'll want to keep that on your palate throughout the taste of the tea as a whole. Isn't it interesting that a Chinese oolong is sweet? Um, yes and no. Um, because like for instance, I've mentioned that it's usually very woody and very savory. Now this one, it's not sweet in the traditional sense. It's not a sugary sweet. It's sweet in the way that an apple is sweet. It's not sugary. It's not citrusy. It's that kind of earthy sweetness that's coming out. And because this wasn't super duper oxidized, like that's why I'm saying maybe 50-60%, 65 at the very most. I would be surprised if it's more than that. Um, but because it was lightly midway oxidized, it doesn't have that strong flavor, so it allows the natural sweetness of the leaf to come out a bit more. So you just read the description of the tea. It's a spring flush. Okay. So yeah, that's first flush. The first flush comes from. Okay, so a little, a little background. The flush of the tea is when it first is able to be plucked. You have I've talked about this before. The three leaf piece that you're looking for that kind of looks like this. So you have the long leaf, the second long leaf, and then the little stub at the bottom. And it grows a little bit like this, and so it's plucked that way. So the first flush is comes out in the spring, where after the winter, where the plant or the bush stops growing for the entire season, all of the essence of the leaf is stored away, and the plant continues to produce it because it's still alive, it's still surviving, it's just not flourishing. So all of the flavor, all of the goodness of the tea leaf is being stored for the next season, which would be spring. So once those first leaves come out, it flourishes and it's plucked and it's processed, and then you get carry welcome. Then you get that fullness of the flavor. Some people say that the first flush is the best flush because it comes out and you're tasting more of the leaf rather than when later on during the year, where in the summer and the fall the flushes keep coming out, but the leaves are already expending that energy that they are producing, rather than the winter where they're not expending it. So all those juices, all of those, the photosynthesis, everything that it has absorbed is stored up and then just explodes in that first season. Other people prefer the later seasons where the leaves come out more earthy, more savory. I don't know which I prefer because I mean there's beautiful flavors throughout the entire year, and you just have to know what to look for to suit you. And I tend to be very explorative, and I appreciate what I drink. So you get that kind of once you get the experience and you know what to look for, then by all means you can choose your favorite. It's really hard for me to choose mine because like I appreciate all the flavors that I get. So it's hard. You guys have seen it's hard for me to talk bad about a tea unless it's really really bad. Then I wouldn't recommend it. It's just no. This one I would. This one is really good. Lipton. You just said the magic word. Oof. That was for Lipton, not for the tea. The tea was really good. I have to make the differentiation. But there is like a how did I steep the tea? Okay, so I steeped this as a traditional oolong. This one went as I believe it was 195. Let me check. 190. Yep, 195. I set it at 195 for 5 minutes. So technically I oversteeped it. However, there is a safety net with oolongs, especially the ones that are bald, that all the flavor is packed in, and it's hard. You have to steep it to get the leaf to unfurl and naturally give out the flavors. This one, technically, I should have done at 195 for 3 minutes. I did it for 5 minutes, and as you saw, the leaf still hasn't opened up all the way. So if I were to steep this again, I would do it for 3 minutes. Probably lower the temperature too. I would probably steep it at about 180 on the third steep. I think this could stand up to a second steep of the same temperature, probably the same time. But just to play it safe, I'd do it for 3 minutes instead of 5. But that's just my personal preference. Then there are ways that you can steep it that Juliet was talking about a few weeks ago, probably last month or the month before, where you steep an oolong for it wasn't an oolong, it was a pu'er for 30 seconds each, and you just pour it, time it, drink it, pour it, time it, drink it, and you do it in small doses. And that is literally an all-day tea. You could take hours and hours drinking it and still not get everything out of it. That's something that I would love to try one day, but I would need like an interesting, an interested party who is willing to sit there for hours with us and drink and talk about it and just just have fun, like our virtual tea parties, which will be tomorrow, but I'll talk about that later. Yeah, it's like something like that you would have to have a very specialized interest in. But yeah, that's something that I would definitely look forward to. Oh, that is so good. This tea is like, it's extremely soft. I am very impressed by the flavor, the aftertaste especially, because it's super sweet for an oolong, and it's kind of silky. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. If I were to blend the tea, what would it be? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Like blend it with other ingredients, or if I were to process the tea myself. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused by that question. Blend it with other ingredients. Oh, okay. I mean, part of me is like, I wouldn't want to because it's a sin against nature, at least to me. But if I were to blend it, I would blend it with like maybe cherries, because a cherry has that kind of sweet that's not a sweet. It would go pretty well with this. Get some cherries in there, apples for sure. Because I really don't use oolongs in a lot of my blends, so it's kind of I mean, to me, an oolong is kind of sacred. I don't know why I feel that way, but um, it's like you have somebody who went through the trouble of blending in oolong, producing it, and oolongs are very, very difficult. One of the most difficult teas to blend correctly, because so much can go wrong in the process. And that's why they tend to be a little bit more expensive, especially when you start going into the territories of like Jade Oolong and Ali Shan and Milk Oolongs. All those are like the high end uh, kinds of oolongs, and it's really, to me, it's a little bit sacred to just want to taint that. But with this particular one, it's very. I mean, I think it can get away with a little bit of experimentation. I would definitely use some cherries, uh, an apple. I could go a little bit further. Uh, maybe some dandelion root. I think dandelion root would be very interesting to put in there because it's kind of a sweet, salty kind of flavor to it. Maybe have a little bit of what's the word? I'm brain farting again. Um, it's that leaf. It starts with an H. Ah, it's driving me crazy. But yeah, I'm just brain farting here. It's gonna come to me at like 3 in the morning. Not hemp. it's uh, 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 yeah, it's gonna come to me at 4 in the morning, and then I'll have to like update the video and be like, I meant this one. No, it was. I'm gonna spend the entire rest of the stream just trying to remember what that word is. But it'll. Would I ice this tea? Yes, but I would sweeten it first. This is oolongs. Oolongs have that kind of flavor to it where it could go either way. Personally, you can ice any tea, but would I ice it? I would, but I'd have to also sweeten it because I don't think that the sweetness would hold up when it's cold. Only because you would taste more of the dominance of whatever flavor it is after it is cold. So I think that not traditionally. I think essentially I would definitely have to sweeten it first. But man, this is like even hot. This is really good. Okay, so announcements. I'll go ahead as I usually do. I'll open the floor for questions, comments, anything you want to talk about. Now's the time. I have a couple of announcements. One, tomorrow is the Teresa's question. Yes. What would I pair it with? Let me make my announcements first. So tomorrow we're having another tea party. It's going to be at 3 o'clock Central Time. The link is on the group page. So go ahead and join me tomorrow, and we'll have some fun there. Also, I do have 2 things I'm working on. I don't know if Molly, welcome. I don't know if I should say the first one because it's not 100% set in stone yet. But I will say one thing. There was a contest that Tilula was having, and this one is set in stone, so I can say it. There was a contest that Tilula was having for snarky remarks on a teacup. And of course, me being who I am, I entered, and I did win one. So I placed the order. It should be coming within the next couple days, and once it comes, I will show it off. Um, but the snarky remark that won was "move Oolong." That's move Oolong. Good for today's stream because I'm drinking an Oolong tonight. But yeah, it's available on the website, and I placed the order, so it should be coming in. And if you guys want to get your own snarky mug, I will send the link later. Because there were two others that were there. One was Chai there, and the other one was Sip Happens. But it's S.I.P. It stands for Shelter in Place. So I like that one too. I might pick that one up later. Ironically, after the the shelter in place is lifted, I'll probably go to the store in person and get that one. But in the meantime, Move Along is on its way, and I'll show it off once it comes in, and that's going to be a great thing. The other piece of the other piece that's not quite set in stone yet, but it's in process. So they are also doing customized teapots. So I am looking into getting. Yeah, I'm just going to talk about it because I love this idea. I'm getting my logo put onto one of them. It will be the first official piece of the community merchandise. And hopefully it won't be the last. I mean, like, I would love to have my own product line of stuff because that's just awesome. But yeah, the first community teapot is in process, so we'll see what comes of it. I'm excited about it. Okay, so to answer Teresa's question, what would I pair this with food-wise? Okay, so this being a more savory and smoky tea, I would pair it with a smoky, savory dish. So thanks, Greg, and welcome. So going by that, I would probably do something like barbecue, like a nice smoky steak, something savory, something really meaty and beefy. Maybe like it depends on. Okay, yeah, I'll just say it. A well done burger. I usually don't like well done burgers because they tend to be dried out and charcoaly. But this one, if it's done right, I would do it with this tea. Okay, now that it's cooling off, I can taste the sweetness a lot better. I'm getting a lot more of an appley kind of taste to it. And it's like really, really, it's almost like I don't want to say it's an apple cider kind of flavor, but it's got that kind of quality to it. It's very, this is a very interesting tea. Only because it's like you're getting a whole lot of different kinds of flavors. As I spoke about, you have your smoky, you have your savory, you have your sweet. Now you have like an apple kind of finish to it. It's got woody. It's I'm not mature enough to not laugh when I say woody, so just bear with me. But yeah, like it's going through a few different stages, and it's really, it's really good. It's finishing very well. I still have half a pot left, and let me tell you, it's not going to last long. This is a really, really delicious tea. Okay, so it looks like I have about one or two sips left, so I'm going to call it it's last call. Ratings. Okay, Definitely, it's up there. I would say 4.5 to 5. This is a really good tea. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Like this is, whew, it's excellent. Okay, so opening up the floor again. Questions, comments, anything you want to talk about? Now's the time. Mm. Ooh, that was good. Ooh, my yum. That was it. That was really really nice. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out for the night. Once again, tomorrow the tea party will be at about 3 o'clock Central. So please join me there. It's a great time for everyone. In the meantime, have a great weekend, a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.